Hey everyone, it's Annie from CarStereoChick.com, and today I wanted to talk to you about what I think is going to be the best value Apple CarPlay Android Auto head unit for 2022, and that is the Sony XAV-AX150. We have seen a lot of price increases this year due to the increases in costs of raw materials, the increases in costs in global shipping, and lack of qualified workers to actually make these products in the world. And as a result, we have seen prices increase as much as 25% on some of the models that I've reviewed just 2 years ago. They're still current. I'll give you an example. The Alpine XAV-AX150, when that first came out, that was $299. As of right now, I believe the retail on that is $499. Most places are selling it for $549. So deals are hard to come by. But this Sony XAV-AX150 is a name brand Apple CarPlay Android Auto head unit, varying between $248 to $299 at most retailers. And it gives you a ton of features for the money. So that's what I wanted to talk to you guys today about. So I'm gonna go wire it up and we'll show you what it's all about. So one of the first things I want to point out about this radio is it has a regular resistive touchscreen, but it is quite vibrant. Here you can see Apple CarPlay, all the apps are easily seen. The colors are very saturated and the screen is quite responsive even though it's a regular resistive touchscreen. You can change the display color background, going into the visual here, wallpaper. You can't upload your own, but you do have several different options built in, and one of these will look pretty close to most vehicle interior dash lighting schemes, and the black background is neutral enough to blend with most vehicles. On the home screen, you cannot rearrange the organization of these icons. You're always going to have your FM/AM tuner on the left, your Bluetooth audio phone here. It does support a reverse camera, and then your settings are on the right. CarPlay and Android Auto is always going to be on the top right here. If I were to go into my tuner, I do like the layout. You've got fixed preset buttons right here, but if you want to get to your next row of presets, you can scroll that whole bar. Now I'm over on FM2 and FM3. If I want to go over to AM, I can just tap this up here. That's another way that you can switch between your different bands. Also quite easy to set preset buttons. You can tap one by one to get to a particular channel that you want, and then you can just simply press it and hold that button, and now that is set to preset channel number 1, and then you have your seek up and seek down on the outer corners. Nice simple layout, I like it. Now, because I have my phone connected through the USB, we're not going to be able to get to the Bluetooth screen, but it is just a basic setup for Bluetooth. If I disconnect my phone real quick, I can now go into settings, go to pairing. This is actually now turning on the Bluetooth on the radio so that I could in fact go into these settings on my phone, and I could scroll for devices. And there it is, XAV-AX150. Tap that real quick, hit the pair button, hit OK on here. And this is what your Bluetooth screen is going to look like. I can select whatever it is that I want to play on my phone, and then it will show up on the screen, and then I could pause. I just have Pandora streaming right now, and I could skip tracks. But to get the best control over your apps, you are going to want to plug in for your Apple CarPlay or Android Auto connectivity, where now I can go through my recently played, my library, whatever it is that I want to find. Now this unit does have front, rear, and subwoofer preamp output, but they are only rated at 2 volt, so on the lower voltage side. But you could definitely still do, a basic audio system with this. If you wanted to do, say, the head unit and then just an amp and subwoofer, we can go into the sound settings, go over to the crossovers. It does have built-in high pass and low pass filter, so you can filter out those frequencies to your interior speakers, depending on what size they are, and let your sub play all the bass. So even at this low price point, you do have some really nice audio control. Also has a 10-band equalizer, so you can really kind of fine tune the control. In a little bit, I'm going to get this hooked up to the oscilloscope, and we'll see how clean that preamp output actually is. This radio does have a built-in amplifier of 55 watts by 4, so a little bit more power than most head units, and those 5 watts do actually make a difference. So it's 55 by 4 peak, 20x4 RMS. And I do want to point out, even though this is all touchscreen, I do like that you have this row of hard buttons on the bottom. You're going to have volume up and down, shortcut to the home screen, and a track up and track down button, as well as this option button, which is kind of a shortcut to a few different options in the radio. However, if you press and hold it, that will activate Siri, and then I could tell her what to do. I don't have the microphone connected at the moment. It is an external microphone. Typically with Sony products, you want to get that microphone towards the center of the vehicle, kind of basically right by the rear view mirror. And if you pick up any type of wind noise from your windshield, lower down works as well. And my Jeep Wrangler, when I had that Sony XAV-AX150, I had it right in the center above the radio, and that worked well even with the top off. All right, so let's go ahead and get this connected to the oscilloscope and see what kind of preamp signal we got. All right, so we are connected to the subwoofer preamp output, which I do want to mention is a mono input. It's just a single channel RCA. So if you are running a traditional left and right RCA from your amplifier, you will need a Y adapter, 2 female to 1 male, plug that in, and then you can use this Sony sublevel. I have put the subwoofer level all the way up to 10, and I have the volume really low, and there's distortion. Like, this is our starting out point. I'm just at volume 8, and you can see already there's distortion. So I guess right off the bat, that tells you that you really should not put your Sony head unit up to 10. I mean, even at the tiniest volume, there's clipping. So let's lower this to, I think +5 would be reasonable level. Damn, that is clip 2. All right, let's try 0. No way. How do we have clipping at 0? Oh, that's not good. Huh. So you should probably not do a system with this head unit, because you can see how jagged that signal is. You know, even at 0 or -10, it's not clean. Ah, that's too bad. So that tells me this is really just a good head unit to do, just to add Apple CarPlay or Android Auto to like an older analog vehicle. Something like, you know, a 2012 Honda Civic, or you know, Subaru, older Toyota, Subaru, not Lexus. That wouldn't be good. Well, depends how old it is. Anything that doesn't have CAN bus, basically, and just super basic audio controls on the steering wheel. Because the other thing about Sony is they kind of lump together their steering wheel control functions. So yes, it does support steering wheel controls with an external module, and it's not Idylink Maestro compatible. That's why I was saying it's good for older basic analog vehicles. But what they do is the source button is actually also tied in with the hang up or reject call. So when you're listening to music, tap source, that'll go between your audio sources. If you have a call coming in and you don't want to take the call, tapping source will hang up the call. And then if you do have a voice button, or you want to remap one of your buttons to do voice, that button will also, besides doing Siri or Google, will act as your answer and hang up function. So if you have a call coming in, voice will answer it. If you want to end that call, voice will end the call. Just want to point that out. Years ago, Idylink had on their previous website a way to actually do a demo, so I could show clients, you know, if you go with this radio, this is how we're going to map out your steering wheel controls, and if you go with that radio, that's how we can map it out. And that was one thing I always like to point out with clients that are really picky. If you have all those different buttons on your steering wheel controls, you might be irritated that you can't use the separate voice, answer, and hang up buttons that you have on your steering wheel controls. They're just going to map over differently. You'll still have all the functions, but you'll use one button for basically voice, answer, and hang up. I have a screenshot from an older blog post that I did. I put that up there. Hopefully that kind of explains it well. Let's see if the front and rear PreOut is any cleaner. All right, so now we're connected to the rear PreOut. We have the 1000 kilohertz test tone playing, and we have our crossovers are turned off. crossover, off, off. Let's turn up the volume and see what happens to that signal. Ooh, there we are. Clipped. A little funky. Cleaner. Looks like 41 is kind of your safe point if you're going to be using the front or rear pre-out, and we're getting 1.74 volts at that point. If I go all the way up, we're getting 2.73, but it's pretty jagged, not clean. Let's find out at what point the internal amp starts to distort. All right, we've got that 1 kilohertz test tone playing, and we're connected to the speakers right now. Front left. I would expect it to start to distort around 35. Oh, I was wrong. Damn, 30. 29. 30's where it starts to get a little funky. 31's totally clipping. So that's interesting, but good to know that if you do go with this head unit and you're just powering your stock speakers off of it, try to keep the volume under 30 so that you don't clip that signal going to your speakers. So overall, I'm still really happy with this deck. For $250 to $300, it's hard to beat. Name brand, Sony product, great sound quality with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I wouldn't necessarily use this to build an audio system with. It's not the cleanest in that regards, but that's also not what it's really designed for. This is designed for updating an older car that's on the road with newer technology. And with today's car market, not being able to get a new car, there's so many people that are buying used or fixing up and keeping their used vehicles that this is a great option for a lot of different people out there. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this content, please help me out by hitting that like and subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time.